Brilliant. So let's get started. And in typical action coach fashion, in your chat box, just tell me what you feel like expressing today. What do you feel like expressing in your chat box? Let's make sure those chat boxes are working. Make sure your fingers are working in your chat box. That's great. So Joe's feeling excited. So is Rachel. She's feeling excited too. Frank's grateful. And so is Pascal. Feeling great. Come on, guys. Let's have 100% participation. Interested and ready to go. Okay, what else? Just had a supermarket delivery. Fantastic. Well done. Yeah, they're tricky to get hold of at the moment, aren't they? Ready, happy, keen to learn. Fantastic. Great. Brilliant. Okay, so pretty much everybody on this call, I'm guessing, is feeling pretty positive, up for it, focused, ready to learn, and that's what you're here for. However, let me just manage your expectations for a second, if I may. Let me just manage your expectations as what you can expect from this webinar here this morning, because I think you'll agree with me that digital marketing is a pretty big subject to cover in an hour or 75 minutes. So what can you expect today? Well, you're going to expect some BFOs, what I call BFOs, blinding flashes of the obvious. In other words, you're probably going to learn some stuff that you already know. And that's okay, because if you already did everything you already knew, you'd already be a lot more successful than you already are. I'm sure you'll agree. It's not what we know that really matters in life. It's what we actually implement and the actions that we take with what we know. Now, I promise you that I will also teach you probably some stuff that you don't know today, and it would be a real shame if you go away and carry on doing the same stuff that you've always done. My aim for this morning's webinar is that you will go away and do at least one thing differently as a result of this webinar than you were doing beforehand. Because if you keep doing the same stuff you've always done, you're going to get the same results that you've always got. And you know, that is absolutely obvious. But the blinding flashes of the obvious that you get today, what I really want you to do is, most importantly, go away and take some action with it. Because if you don't, it's been a waste of your time, it's been a waste of my time. So if we're all happy to agree and make a commitment right now that we will do at least one thing differently as a result of this webinar, in order for me to have the will to continue, please raise your hand if you agree with that and make that commitment. I want to see every hand going up, please, ladies and gents. Apart from anything else, we're testing that you have found the buttons that I just told you about, and that every piece of our technology here today is working. So thank you very much for your participation so far. Here's the thing. Really importantly, I'm going to start by asking the really important questions, the big questions. So raise your hand if you are actually doing some digital marketing, please. I estimate that that's just over half the people on this call at the moment. So half of you are doing some, half of you aren't doing any at all. So in your question box, in your chat box, what sort of things are you doing that are working well? More than half of you on this call are actually using some digital marketing. So what's it doing? Okay, I said I was doing it. I didn't say it was working well. Okay, fantastic. So, I mean, I'm not getting very much. Does this mean that nothing you're doing is working well? Does LinkedIn count? It's digital and you can use it for marketing. So the answer is yes. Glenn is using LinkedIn. Joe, I know, is using LinkedIn. Facebook and LinkedIn, Barry is using, and it's working well. Good. Okay, so that's fantastic. Good news. Okay, so some of you, I use Google AdWords. Fantastic. Google My Business, Facebook too. Fantastic. LinkedIn. So we've got a bit of a theme going on here. We're using LinkedIn, we're using Facebook, and I've got one person that's saying that they're using Google. So here's the question then. With all the digital media that we've got, and I'm sure that you're aware of the statistics, and if you're not, you will be by the time we finished here today. What is stopping people from using digital marketing? So in your question box, in your chat box rather, what's stopping people from using digital marketing? Lack of knowledge. Things like Google AdWords and Facebook Advertiser are complex. Know-how, good content, procrastination, not sure how to maximize the use of it, knowledge on what works and what doesn't. So I'm hearing a lot of knowledge, skills. Those are the sorts of things really that are stopping people from using them, right? So I think that that's a really important point here. Okay, it's about lack of knowledge. So if you knew the unknowns, you would do it, right? Or if you had somebody else that knew how to do it, you'd be doing it, surely. Well, hopefully by the end of this session, if you're not using it, you will be using it. And if you need more knowledge, you'll know where to go and get that knowledge, okay? Just as a quick comment, if you missed the beginning of this session, if you want to share your comments, which I really would like you to, in the chat box, make sure that where it says 2 at the bottom of your chat box, you've selected all panelists and attendees so that everybody can see your comments. Brilliant, fantastic. So digital marketing is the subject of today. So let's talk for a second about marketing. Your accountant's point of view about marketing. Your accountant might teach you that sales and marketing is a what? In your chat box, what does your accountant teach you that sales and marketing is? An expense, fantastic, and costs. Absolutely, your accountant may well teach you to put marketing in your accounts as an expense. But why is it an expense? Should it be? In most cases, yes, it probably should. Because why? Because marketing campaigns do cost money when they're poorly conceived. Because the fact of the matter is 80% of marketing doesn't work. But if I said to you that for every pound you invest in your marketing, you would get £10 back, how many pounds would you invest? Well, it's a pretty obvious question. If I said for every pound you invest in your marketing, you got £10 back, you'd probably invest all of your pounds. You'd probably invest all of everybody else's pounds. You get as many pounds as you possibly could to invest in your marketing, because every time you put a pound in, you got £10 back. So think about that. That gives you an unlimited marketing budget. Now, the only way to do that is to use the two most important words in business: test and measure. In other words, we want to know where every single lead comes from, how many of those leads are converting, how much the leads cost us, how much it costs us to acquire a client from every single lead generation method that we're using. You see, it might cost you a lot of money in testing all the different marketing strategies that there are out there. Yes, that's true, but actually it's an investment, because once you find the 20% of things that actually work, it's just like putting £1 in and getting more than £1 out. Now, what's the opposite of doing that? Do no marketing? Well, how's that going to work in growing your business? I mean, yeah, okay, you can say, well, I'll grow my business organically or through word of mouth. But that's just one marketing strategy, and it only means that you're doing your job really well, and other people, if they should have the occasion to, are recommending you. Because it's not strategic. It's a sit and wait method. It's a sit by the phone and hope that it rings method, which means that your environment is controlling you, not you controlling your environment. It means you're not in control and proactive about the growth of your business. So of course we need to do marketing if we want to expand our operation, if we want to get predictable growth within our business. And the only way to make marketing work for you is to make sure that you're testing and measuring it. Absolutely vital. So who already on this call feels that they're doing a really good job of test and measure? Raise your hand if you are. Do you know what, guys? I'm not sure whether you'll be surprised about this or not, but I haven't got a single hand going up there. Okay, so look, here's the thing. Try and remember this. Anything in life or in your business that you want to manage first needs measuring. You cannot manage something that you're not measuring. So if you want to manage your marketing, in other words, if you want to get decent leads and a return on investment, you've got to start measuring it. So if you do nothing else other than start measuring your marketing as a result of this webinar this morning, then we would have made a huge step forward. So how much should we be measuring? Now, here's an example, 2 different adverts. Let me ask you some questions about this. Both adverts cost £1,000. Which is better? Well, quite clearly we don't know yet, do we? However, advert A produces 1,000 leads and advert B produces 100 leads. Which one's better? Well, you might say advertisement A would be, because obviously the numbers look like they speak for themselves, but actually we don't know yet. So the next thing is the conversion. So we could convert 100 out of 1,000 of advert A and 50 out of 100 of B. Which one's better? Well, again, we still don't know yet. The average order value is 500 for advert A and 1,000 for advert B. Which is better? We still don't know yet. The average profit that we make for A is 200 and it's the same for B. Which is better? We still don't know yet. The lifetime value of the clients we pull in with A are £5,000 and with B they're £10,000. Which is better? We still don't know yet. The referrals that we get from everybody that we convert from test advert A is 10 and from B is 2. So in your chat boxes, which of these ads would you use? Pamela says A. Glyn says B. Nick says B. Barry says A. So I've got a difference of opinion. Some of you would use A, some of you would B, but the people who are correct are the ones that put the word both. Both of them give you a return on investment. You see, if I said to you, here you are, you've got 2 different ads. One, for every pound you put in, you get £10 back. And the other, for every pound you put in, you get £1.50 back. Which of those would you use? By the way, the answer should be both, because you get a return on investment on both. You see, here's the challenge for all of us. We're not using enough marketing. There we are, we're on our diving board and we've just got one support. This is us saying, well, actually, I'm really happy because I've got a marketing strategy. For every pound I put in, I get £10 back. But it's the only marketing strategy I use. What happens if that marketing strategy suddenly stops working? You're exactly right. You're in a big mess. You're in an absolute big mess. Now, this happened to me once upon a time, and it happened to many people with Google a few years back, when Google changed their algorithms because they wanted to make more money and they wanted to make sure that people started using more advertising. They changed their algorithms, and a lot of companies who were experts, so-called, in search engine optimization actually went out of business because it was the only marketing strategy that they had. You see, here's the thing. You're much better supported if you've got at least 10 supports underneath your business. In other words, you need to have at least 10 different ways of generating 10%, which is 100% of the result. So 10 different marketing strategies, all tested and measured, all giving you a return on investment. And by the way, you don't have to limit yourself to 10. There's well over 100 marketing strategies that you could use. So in my ventilation business, we had 25 different marketing strategies, all of which gave us a return on investment. Some were better than others. And of course, for cash flow purposes, we'd invest more in the ones that produced more return. But we invested in all of them because they all gave us qualified leads and converted those leads into clients. And that's what's important. That's what's important. So a question has come in. What if A and B campaigns are working at the same time on the same customers? I'm not sure if I understand the question entirely, but the point is this. Multiple marketing strategies giving you 100% of your results. Don't rely on 1 or 2 marketing strategies. When you're doing your test and measure, you should be asking yourself at least 3 questions. What's working well? What needs to work better? And what am I not doing that I could be doing? If you get really strategic about that, you're going to build out the marketing strategies that work and give you a return on investment. And that's what we're aiming for. We don't want marketing to be an expense. We want marketing to give us a return on investment. So the only failure in life is the failure to participate. Many times I've heard people say, yeah, but Stuart, you know what? I tried Facebook once and it didn't work. It doesn't work for me and my business. That's absolutely crazy. It's like, you know, how long do you give the average baby to start learning how to walk before you turn around and say, you know what, you keep falling over, you're going to be a crawler. It's just ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the only failure is the failure to participate. You never fail to get an outcome with the marketing that you're looking for. It might not be the outcome that you wanted, but at least you got an outcome. So every single time, as long as you're testing and measuring, you will get data. And that data will tell you what you need to do differently. It will give you a steer in the right direction. And testing and measuring means doing lots of different things with a little bit of investment until you find the things that actually start to work, and then you invest more in the things that actually start to work. Don't keep investing in marketing that isn't giving you a return without changing something. And you know, I got a comment earlier on from Lucy saying, wow, that's a lot of different parameters to test. You're absolutely right, Lucy. You've got to test lots of different parameters. I'll give you an example. A social media advert that we did with one of my clients who is a heating company. And we did 2 identical ads other than 2 different pictures. One picture was a picture of a cat reclining on a radiator. Another picture was a picture of a mother, a child, and what looked like a very smartly presented boiler repairman in the picture. The picture with the family in it outperformed the cat on the radiator by 13-1, and that was the one thing that we changed in that ad. So you're absolutely right, Lucy. Everything needs to be tested and measured, because then you'll find the formula that actually works. And is it worth finding? Well, let me ask you this. How would you feel if you found a machine that for every time you put £1 in, you got £10 out? I'm guessing you'd feel pretty good about that right now. Well, that's what we're looking for with our marketing. The best investment you can make in your business is when you actually have that level of predictability with your marketing. For me, you could even then put the marketing as a direct expense above the line in where forming part of your gross profit, and then you're changing the way that you do your accounting because it's that predictable. So obviously, before we decide which of the platforms we're going to be using, we've got to start with who it is that we're actually targeting. And I always use this in every seminar that I talk about marketing. You've got to create your buyer persona or an avatar. And I don't mean a 7-foot skinny blue person from planet Pandora. I mean, you want to know, are they male, female, both? What age are they? Jobs or profession? Their passions and ambitions? What are the top 3 websites that they visit on a regular basis? Top 3 social media pages they follow? Top 3 influencers that they might watch on YouTube? Social circumstances, are they married? Are they single? Are they divorced? What income range are they in? What do they buy with their discretionary income? What books do they buy? Digital products? What hobbies do they have? What exercise habits do they have? What food do they like to eat? We need to get as close to our buyers as we possibly can, because when we do, it starts to open up a myriad of possibilities for marketing. And you know what? Once you've actually done that, once you've actually decided who it is that you want to target, then you can decide, where do I find them in large numbers? And that's really what should be informing your decision as to which platforms you're going to be using. Now, that takes a little bit of research maybe. And you have to do your research. Research is an investment of your time, which pays back in dividends. Without doing the research, you're going to find your test and measure is going to take an awful lot longer. So do the research to begin with. And to be honest with you, ladies and gents, that research starts here and now. See, online platforms make it really easy for you to be targeting your ideal clients. No matter what platform you're using, you can get really specific. So on LinkedIn, you've got the industry, the geographical area, the number of employees, the seniority level. You've got all of those different parameters. You've got obviously all the social economic demographics on Facebook, but you've also got things like interests and behaviors. And it's the same on Instagram as well, because they use the same targeting parameters. And then on Twitter, you've got demographics, but you've even got the sorts of things that they're actually tweeting about. And the great thing about online is that everywhere we go, we leave a digital footprint, which makes it really easy when you know how to test and measure your campaigns, because we can see which of our ads and which of our posts are actually working. And you may need to invest some time, effort, energy in learning how to use these tools. We can, if you're not sure, then you can speak to some of my team members and they'll help you use these tools, or you can go and find out for yourself, where do I get these tools from and how do I use them? The information is out there and the knowledge is out there. You just need to go and seek it. Today, I'm going to show you what you need to learn. I'm going to show you what you need to do. I'm going to give you a few hints and tips of simple stuff that works. But if you really want the deep dive, you're going to have to go and do some more research on this stuff. You're going to have to go and do some more learning to get the nuts and bolts of how to actually use all of this stuff. So whether it's a social media advert or a search engine advert, they all do pay-per-click advertising. And let me say, this needs to be one of the most powerful forms of advertising in the history of business, because people don't click unless they're interested, and you only pay for the ones that are. So in your chat boxes, we all do, the pay-per-click is ubiquitous. You've got it on social, you've got it on search. But what's the main difference between a social advert and a search engine advert? In your chat box, what's the difference between a social advert and a search advert, please? First one that comes out is correct. You're not looking for a social advert. Exactly. With a search engine advert has appeared because the user is actually looking for that product or service. In other words, they already have qualified that they're in the market for that product and service, whereas a social advert interrupts them while they're doing something else. Now that means that your social ads need to be eye-catching. You need to have a great headline that stops people in their tracks or to pay attention to, because people have got hardly any attention span these days. You know, you've got less than 5 seconds to catch someone's attention. Often it pays to use a great picture, or even better, a video, because 80% of traffic are watching videos. Also, rather than sending people directly to your website, why not use a direct call to action on that social media, like call now, or more information, or book now. Now, if you want some help understanding how to craft really great ads, you need to come to my marketing masterclass. I'm not going to go into any detail in that here today, because I want to talk about these platforms, but you think it might be a good idea to learn how to craft these great ads? The answer is yes, because I quite often come across marketing companies, so-called marketing companies, whose actual use of the ads is really, really poor. So we have to make sure that we get that piece right as well. And we have to be testing, measuring different things. Because as much as I could teach you about the best way to do it, it's still only an idea until you put it into practice. It is actually a good idea when you test and measure it and you're actually getting a response from it and you're getting a return on investment. So search marketing is the equivalent of, if there's anybody on the line as old as me, you'll remember the old yellow pages. Now, back in the day, if you weren't in the yellow pages when the deadline came, you were doing no marketing for an entire year. But basically what the yellow pages was, what Google is now, people are actually going into the yellow pages, which is a directory, searching for goods and services and products that they actually need. So here is the point. How powerful is that? Search engine, obviously, that kind of marketing is incredibly powerful. So let's start there. Let's start with search marketing. Now, there's a lot of information for you on the screen there, but let me just say, in summary, Google is the most visited website on the internet. So looking at some of those stats on there, what in your chat box, what stands out the most for you about these stats? In your chat box, what stands out the most? Number 8, over 90% of all worldwide searches are made on desktops are done by Google. Number 4, 63% of Google's organic search traffic originated from mobile devices. Google has 90% of market share. Look, whatever it is, ladies and gents, I don't think you can deny that it's a pretty powerful platform for business, is it not? So raise your hand if you have a website. Yeah, as expected. Pretty much most of the people on this call have a website. In your chat box, what's the point of a website? What is the point of having a website in your chat box? Shop window, shop window. Absolutely. Credibility, yeah. Marketing tool. Promote the business to be seen and found by people that matter. Point of reference, cross-sell, credibility. Yeah, all of those things, absolutely right. What I put in here is the shop window for your business. Look, at the end of the day, will they actually go to your website? Because that's the important thing. Your website is not a lead generation strategy, it's a conversion strategy. The lead generation part is actually driving the traffic there in the first place. I mean, what's the point in having a shop in the middle of Alaska where nobody actually goes? What's the point? No disrespect to Alaska, I'm sure there's people there, but you know what I'm saying. So, you know, once the traffic lands on your website, what happens next is absolutely critical. It's a conversion tool. The content absolutely has to be relevant to the user. They want to understand the what's in it for me message straight away. Also, the site needs to perform well in many other ways. But here's the important thing. It needs to be constructed from a point of view of being found. Absolutely, I completely agree. But also, if it's a conversion tool, it needs to be constructed in such a way that it will convert your customers to take a further action. And this is where most websites fall down. Again, if you're not sure about how to create that, and let me promise you this, most web designers and techies and developers that I've seen are not necessarily seasoned marketeers, then you need to learn this stuff. So at least you can guide the people who you are paying to do the work for you to make sure that your content is absolutely optimized for conversion of your clients once they arrive there. There's a whole lot of other stuff that we need to do to get them there in the first place. And that's the bit where marketing really comes in. So let's talk about that. How do we be successful on Google? Well, it's simple. Work with them. Work with their business plan. If we want results from Google and we want results from our website, it makes complete sense to give Google what it wants. And Google only wants the users what the users want, because at the end of the day, Google is the largest content creator on the planet, and yet it creates no content. We create the content for Google. So Google must insist that its users get what they want in terms of the content. And it's up to us to make sure that we do that. If we work with Google, we're going to be successful. Google will make sure that our site gets found. Otherwise, business is literally slipping through our fingers every single day. So what does Google want? To be honest with you, it's fairly simple. It's just those 5 things. Your site must be secure, mobile friendly. I mean, look at the stats about how many people are actually looking at Google from a mobile. Absolutely needs to be quick. You know what? If you actually do the stats on this and you see how long it takes for your site to load, you can also get stats that tell you how many people aren't even bothering to go to the site because they can't be bothered to wait for it to load. We have ridiculously short attention spans. It's got to be well managed. It's not something that you put up there and you leave it alone. This is something that has to be constantly evolving for Google to think that you actually care about it and care about its users. So it must give the users good, relevant content. In your chat box, be honest with me, what else does Google want? Come on, guys. What else does Google want? To make money out of us. Absolutely, cash, money. You're absolutely right. In the 4th quarter of 2019, Google's revenue amounted to a whopping 45.8 billion US dollars, mostly from advertising revenue. So here's the thing, pay-per-click. Does pay-per-click work in your chat box? Well, actually not in your chat box. Raise your hand if you think that Google pay-per-click works. Raise your hand, please. Interesting, interesting. Not every hand is going up. Well, how does Google make its money? It makes its money from pay-per-click advertising. 46 billion. I mean, does it make a lot of money? Yes. So do you think that maybe PPC is working for some people? Yes. So why not you? See, the biggest barrier to success is not having the right skills, as we identified earlier on. But it's also about not having the right mindset, to be honest with you. And I think, firstly, you need to know what you're doing. or you need to pay somebody else that knows what they're doing. And secondly, you need to develop an investor mindset in order to understand that once you've tested and measured correctly, pay-per-click will give you a return on investment. Pay-per-click is the most amazing thing, both on social and on search, to have happened to business ever. You are literally able to buy leads. You are literally able to buy clients. Now, it's not as cheap as it used to be, granted, but it could be very lucrative if you find the right formula and test the measure. I'll give you an example. Back in 2009 with my ventilation business, it used to cost us about £7 to buy a lead in the geographical area of Leeds and Bradford. Now, 2020, it costs us £35 for the same one. Oh, boo-hoo, it's 5 times more expensive. But here's the thing, we convert 30% of those leads. Okay, so back in 2009, a client was costing us £21. Now it costs us just over 100 quid to buy a client. But the good news is, each time we buy one of those clients, we make £250 in profit. So, okay, it's not giving us as big a return as it used to, but it's still giving us a return. I'm not going to cry about putting £1 in and getting £2 out. You've got to have the investor mindset and understand that when you test and measure pay-per-click, if you do it right, you've got to have the skills. Absolutely, you have to have the skills. But if you do it right, it will give you a return on investment. The people who are actually making money from this are investing in the right way. They've either got more money to invest or they are using more niche terms to invest in. So once you actually have the knowledge and skills, I'm sure that you'll get a return on investment from pay-per-click too. What about search engine optimization? We all want leads to go to our website, don't we? Of course we do. So how do we get found? Does anyone know how many searches are used on the internet for the products and services that you offer? Raise your hands if you know how many searches are used on the internet for the products and services that you currently offer. You see, if you don't know this stuff, ladies and gentlemen, that knowledge is going somewhere else. Somebody else knows this stuff and not you. And we need to know where we rank for each and every search term. Does search engine optimization still work? That's the question. And I would suggest that yes, it does, but it doesn't work as well as it used to. Why not? Because Google don't get money out of search, of organic search. They don't make money out of that. They make money out when we pay for the ads. So where else can you send people other than your website? How about landing pages or free lead pages? Potentially, you could create a whole bunch of bespoke landing pages, often for free, that you can use instead of your website. It's a really easy way as well to test and measure different campaigns, because if each one campaign is linked just to one landing page or one lead page, then you know the only way that prospect could have landed there was through that one ad. So it means that testing and measuring is really, really easy, because there's multiple ways that people can land on different pages of your website. They're really easy to create as well, but you must follow the right marketing principles to get the maximum impact. Those marketing principles that we're talking about that I teach on my marketing masterclass. Again, if you're interested in finding out more about that, just get in touch with me afterwards and we will make sure that we inform you about the next marketing masterclass that's coming up. Okay, so what about other digital media? We've talked about some of the other digital media that you guys are already using. A couple of people are using Facebook, a couple of people are using LinkedIn. And as I said earlier on, as long as you're clear on who it is you're targeting, all of these platforms will tell you how many of your avatars your ad is actually going to go in front of. So even though I might give you some stats right now about the types of user for each of the different platforms, it's up to you to go onto those platforms and find out how many of your avatars are using it. Don't take what somebody else says as read and say, oh, you know what, Instagram, it's just for kids. Actually, that may be true for a certain proportion of the marketplace, but actually there's a lot of other people using it too. It's up to you to go and find out, are your target market there? And the good news is that their targeting parameters will tell you if your target market are there and in what kind of numbers they are as well. So let's have a look at each of these different ones, these different platforms as we go through. I mean, look at that. Those stats speak for themselves, don't they? I mean, there's over 300 million photos uploaded to Facebook every single day, 300 million. On average, 5 Facebook accounts are created every second, so it's still growing. 30% of Facebook users are aged between 25 and 34. But you know what? 62% of all online seniors, that's people that are over 65, are on Facebook. And of all of the people on the internet, that's over 4 billion people on the internet, 83% of women and 75% of men use Facebook. Facebook video is still in high demand with approximately 8 billion views of video per day. So if you're not using video on Facebook, you're missing a trick. Does Facebook marketing work, ladies and gentlemen? In your chat box, does Facebook marketing work? Yes or no? Yeah, of course it does. $21 billion last year from advertising revenue says that Facebook marketing works. There's lots of different ways to market on Facebook. Here's some of them. I probably haven't thought of all of them, but these are the ones that I know about. Okay, now some of those things you might not know about. You might not know about Open Graph, for example. Open Graph, if you've ever had the occasion to log into another app using your Facebook login, then that company's probably using Open Graph. So an example would be something like Strava, which is a running app, and you can share your runs with your Facebook community. You can share what you're doing with your Facebook community just by having the app connected with Facebook. So Open Graph is therefore promoting Strava to Facebook users. Facebook Exchange is when you bid for the little pixels that Facebook attach to people, the footprint that we leave on the internet. Have you ever had an occasion where you've been to someone's website to potentially buy something and you've clicked away and not bought it, and yet what you see for the next couple of weeks is their ad popping up everywhere you go? Well, someone has invested there in Facebook Exchange. ManyChat and Messenger, again, Messenger is underutilized by business owners, but it's a fantastic tool. You're going to have to go away and learn how to use these things, or connect with me and my team and we'll show you how to use Messenger, ManyChat, these sorts of things. We can signpost you where to get your learning from. But if you need to go and learn some of this stuff, other than coming to my webinars or speaking to me, where's a really great place to go and learn all of this stuff, ladies and gentlemen? From Facebook. First person in the chat box. Absolutely, Lucy, from Facebook. Why? Because they want you to be successful. They want you to be a regular customer. They want you to keep spending money with them, because that's how they're going to grow their revenue. Exactly the same with Google. If you want to learn about Google Ads, go and get Google tutorials. You even get assigned. Sometimes you'll even get assigned somebody who will actually talk you through this stuff on the telephone. By the way, going back to Google beforehand, one of my clients in e-commerce was telling me the other day, unless you are prepared to commit £100 a day budget to Google advertising, you're probably not even on the not even being taken seriously. That doesn't mean your £100 a day will be spent. £3,000 a month will actually be spent, but you need to have that kind of budget. So when we were talking earlier on about the investor mindset, then clearly you need to have some money in the first place to invest. So I'm just going to go through one real quick strategy with you, because I promised some simple stuff that works. Here's one strategy that you could potentially use on Facebook. So let's, because the thing is, I mean, Facebook, if you're not using it right, by the way, can be really expensive. We've made some mistakes with Facebook before. I once sponsored views for one of my videos and didn't realize that every time it was viewed, it was just when it went through someone's newsfeed. And it cost me an awful lot of money and I didn't get a lot of return. So please go and learn how to do this properly. Don't just assume that you know it. Make sure that you do it right. However, if you understand the strategy I'm going to teach you today, it'll be useful not just for gaining leads, but also for improving page likes, creating social status, and building a fan base for your brand. So first, you've got to create amazing educational material and add value, okay? Couple of different ways of doing this: video, blog post, imagery, entirely up to you. But whichever you decide to create, make sure it always gives a twist of your own personality, or maybe put a bit of a brand in there. So you can see I've got a bit of theme running through my different media. So I've got my video, purple I tend to use quite a lot. We tend to use the same sort of font, different colored fonts, always in uppercase as well, just so that it is recognizable. And also make sure you, and I can't stress this enough, Make sure it's not boring, really. Make sure it stands out. There's nothing worse than just trying to be vanilla and please everyone because you're scared of getting negative comments. Be happy about getting negative comments. I promise you, if you get negative comments, it means you're doing something right, because your job is not to please everyone, because you won't be noticed. There's too much noise out there. So likelihood is, if you're having a good time, the reader will be having a good time too. So make sure that you're actually doing something that expresses your personality. It has to be valuable. Absolutely, it has to be valuable. I would suggest the way that you give away your best, or at least some of your best stuff first, because the first impression counts. If the reader sees your amazing content and thinks, wow, look what I get for free, imagine what I get if I actually work with these people and pay them money. Also, it needs to be something that people actually want to know. Don't be afraid to ask your prospects and clients what they would like to know. And it doesn't always have to be related to your products and services. Think about your avatar. You know, what else does your avatar need to know? If you create a guide, which are the 7 keys to X, Y, Z, and just one of those things is using your product, that's absolutely fine. They get value from the other six things as well. So don't think that it always just needs to be about you and your product. Think about, what do they want? What information do they want? How can you help them? And educating your market will put you miles ahead of your competitors. And certainly in expert status, which is one of the keys to influence, expert status and social proof. So then what we want to do is use targeted ads to get views. So what you need to do, you need to have already created a post on your Facebook page first, straight onto your page as normal, because you're going to select this later when you create the ad. Then when you go to your ads manager to create an ad, use the objective of engagement. So select post engagement. Again, when we talk about engagement, I'll talk about engagement a lot through this. If you want to learn more about how to be more engaging on social media, then please come to one of my other webinars, either the one that I do on LinkedIn or on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Instagram, where I delve into more detail about how to get engagement. Please, if you're interested in that stuff, let me know, and we'll make sure that you get yourself booked onto the next one of those. Then what you're going to do is make sure your targeting is broad. To begin with, make your targeting broad, because you want to reach as many people as possible. What you will find is that your content will narrow down the marketplace. It will filter and qualify the audience. But to begin with, because our objective is as many people as possible, you want to make that as broad as possible. Then what you need to do is set your budget and schedule the ad. You need to have already created the post on Facebook, as mentioned earlier, and now you can select it. Next step, you can now create an audience, and that's the point of this. We're now creating an audience to market to. It's much easier to market to an audience that are already aware of you than to go straight to a cold audience that have never heard of you before. So these are the people who have viewed your post. Retarget them with another ad for a different objective. For example, might be lead generation or page growth. Lead generation, great one. Use that, but just to the people that have already engaged. Obviously, it's really important to keep retargeting the same audiences, because then they see your name pop up all the time and it keeps them in front of mind. I once read a book called Guerrilla Marketing by J. Conrad Levinson, and he said that people on average need to see you about 20 times before they're prepared to make a buying decision. And yet a lot of us think that we can just go to a cold marketplace on Facebook, who have never heard of us before, chuck a load of money at it and walk away with a bunch of leads. Now, that may happen for you, but if it does, I'm going to suggest it's probably just luck. So once you get to this part, it becomes a little bit more complicated, okay? If you don't understand how to do it, either get the Facebook tutorial, or you can speak to a member of my team and they'll hold your hand through this stuff. Somebody said earlier on, should we be having a YouTube channel? Interesting question. Here's some stats for you, okay? So with those kind of stats, what do you think? Should you be having a YouTube channel? Viewers are spending an average of an hour a day watching YouTube videos. And that was before the COVID-19 lockdown, by the way. An average of 300 hours of video are uploaded every single minute on YouTube. There are over 5 billion video views each day. What do you think? Should you be having a YouTube channel? It is the second most visited site on the internet after Google. It is the second most powerful search engine on the internet. Nowadays, because of people's attention span and because of the way we consume media, many of us are more likely to go to YouTube to search for products and services than we are Google, because we want a video telling us about the products and services and not text or a website. So I believe when you look at these stats, having a YouTube channel is as important as having a website. That's just my belief. And if you don't share that belief, that's entirely up to you. But the stats speak for themselves. So how can you promote your business on YouTube? Well, there's several different ways that you can do that. You can pay to advertise on other people's channels. That's really simple. That's just like advertising on TV, but nowhere near as expensive. You can use a host beneficiary. So for example, somebody who's already got lots of users or lots of subscribers that you want to get in touch with, you can find a way of actually getting your products and services onto their channel. You can use influencers to promote. You can use affiliates, celebrity endorsements. There's tons of different ways. Or you could create your own channel. Now, if you want to understand a little bit more about how to create your own channel, then please, again, I do a session on YouTube and creating a YouTube channel and how to get the best out of it. If you want to find out more about that, contact me afterwards. We'll make sure we get you registered for the next time that I do the YouTube. So let's have a look at some myths on YouTube then. Myth number one, people say YouTube's too crowded. Yeah, okay, 1.5 billion people watching at least 1 hour of video a day. And by the way, did you notice on the stats before, the average length of video that people are watching is 40 minutes. Not 4, not 10, 40 minutes. They're staying glued to it for 40 minutes, for goodness sake, okay? YouTube's not too crowded, it's massive. Myth number two, I don't have enough money. Well, that's not true, because you can shoot, edit, and upload with the average smartphone. We've got a piece of editing software that I think costs about 300 quid. It's not expensive whatsoever. Next, I must be super talented. Rubbish. It's not like YouTube is people sat there watching a TV series, a box set, or a movie. They're watching an individual. This whole thing started, I reckon, with the whole phenomenon, that's an easy word to say, of reality TV. People like watching people, okay? It's not about being super talented. What is important is that you create value with authenticity. People want to see the real you, okay? I don't have enough time. That's again a load of rubbish. It takes only a few hours a week for you to be uploading your videos, or if you're only going to do it once a month, a few hours a month. The point is that actually, you know, if you make the time, you're going to get the return. If you don't make the time, you'll never get the return. Sometimes as well, you know, I've done videos before which were just a day in the life of, where I've got somebody following me around doing my regular job. There's nothing wrong with that. Documentary videos, documentary posts are sometimes some of the best ones. Now, they have to be cut and edited and stuff like that, and that takes some time. But believe you me, it isn't necessary that you are going to have to extend your working hours just to get some YouTube videos done. What's this? I don't have enough connections. It's not about connections, it's about content. You know, there's not that many YouTubers that have got millions of subscribers and thousands of subscribers and millions of views. If you want to monetize your YouTube channel and that you want to be famous and that's how you want to make your money, clearly you're going to have to go down that route. But actually, that's not what most people want, not at all. But what we actually want is we want connection. We want connection with the right people and the right kind of content. That's what's more important. So don't worry too much about the numbers. 40, 50 is better than none. And then somebody already took my idea, okay? You might think that, but you know what? If you actually look at it, there's an abundance of business out there. It's difficult to conceive of a number like 1.5 billion people watching video on YouTube every single day. I realize it's difficult to conceive, but let me promise you this. There's an abundance of business out there. You are unique. There's nobody else like you. There will always be room for more. Okay, what about WhatsApp? So raise your hand if you're actually using WhatsApp to generate leads right now. Nobody. One person is actually using WhatsApp to generate leads. Okay, great. So I'm just going to unmute Barry Groves for a second. Barry, you are self-muted. You are now clear to talk.
Thank you, Stuart. Yeah, no, I use it because I'm a member of a number of groups that we function on WhatsApp, and I use it to promote what I'm doing, and to get orders for my wine. So yeah, I find it very beneficial.
And would you recommend it to everybody else on this call?
Yeah, well, it works for me. I'm not sure what everybody on this call is selling, but it definitely.
All right, no problem at all. Well, look, if it works for you, I'm sure it'll work for others as well. So thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. If you could mute yourself up again now. Great. Why consider WhatsApp? Here's some things about WhatsApp. Number one, it's free. It lets you send images, ebooks, brochures, and catalogs. You can use it as a survey tool, ask for feedback directly from your customers and from your prospects. Great idea. You can use it for group discussions and meetings, just like Barry does. And as a messaging app as well, it lets you send alerts about new events and sales. And also, messages won't be lost because you get offline message alerts that ensure that the users know when a message is actually waiting. I'm going to delve into any more detail, but look at the numbers on it, guys. 1.5 billion active users and 1 billion people using it every day. If that is the case, how many of your avatars are using WhatsApp? And if they are, would you might be interested in finding a way to use WhatsApp as a way of generating leads? I'm guessing the answer is yes. Next, Instagram. There's the numbers on Instagram, ladies and gents, all the numbers on all of these things. There's a theme running through here, I think you'll see. The theme is millions, if not billions of users. And do you know what? Since Instagram has started as a way of sharing photos, okay? And since it was created, 40 billion photos have been shared. On average, 95 million photos are uploaded onto Instagram every single day. There are approximately 4.2 billion likes per day. Now, most Instagram users are between the age of 18 and 29 years age, with 32% of Instagrammers being college students. Now, that means that if your avatar falls into that sector, this would be a great medium for you. But does it mean that if they don't fall into that sector, it wouldn't? No, it doesn't, because the numbers are mind-boggling. There's still literally millions and millions of your avatars using Instagram, even if they're not college students. The only way to really find out is to start doing the targeting parameters and see how many people your ads are going to reach. And Instagram uses exactly the same targeting parameters as Facebook. So here's some activities that I would suggest you look at doing on Instagram. Targeting. Find profiles of people who are following someone based on your target market avatar or strategic alliance account. Okay, so if you're looking at there's safety in numbers here with targeting. Find people who are following similar sorts of, or they're the same, the right target market for you, who are following similar types of businesses that don't compete with you. Also, look at your competitors' profile. See, what happens is, if you've got avatars that are already showing an interest in similar businesses to yours, then you want to target those people too, because they are highly likely going to be interested in you. And you can see who is following your competitors. Finding strategic alliances on Instagram is a great idea. Safety in numbers, as I said before. Sharing of networks. What you can do is you can share each other's content on your story, and this will improve both of your results. It's brilliant if you can find an influencer to share with, but it can be really expensive. Not suggesting that you don't look at that, because it could be a great return on investment. I know some of the clients that I'm working with are already working with influencers, and that's working really well for them, especially those that are actually in e-commerce, and particularly those that are in fashion related product sales as well. Engagement, I'm not going to go into it in massive detail today, but I think it's really important to spend some time looking at what do you need to do to maximize your engagement. Content is king, but engagement is queen on social media. So you need to learn this stuff. And again, learning the rules of the engagement. If you want to learn a little bit more about that, let me know, and I'll make sure that on my marketing masterclass, you get to learn all of that thing. Also, on Instagram, sending messages is really important. Now, you can send both text messages, but I would personally suggest that you stand out from the crowd and send video messages. Again, probably a little bit of research for you to do on that stuff. Here's some top tips for what to do on Instagram. Use the lead ads. Instagram lead ads are designed to help businesses collect customer information, such as email addresses, phone numbers, birthdays, job titles, all of that kind of stuff. So it's really useful for building a really good database. If you like, your profile can include a link to your company with your phone number, email address, business address, maybe even your web address. Also, you've got to optimize the link in your bio. Your link should point customers to whatever objective you're going for with your particular post that you wish to accomplish. Now, you can change this as often as you like, but the only way to get them to take an action to go to a link is to actually have that link in bio. So you have to say in your post, link in bio. It could be something like a newsletter subscription, could be a product sale, could be a survey, could be a competition, could be anything like that. But make sure that you tell them in the post that the link is in the bio. Number 4, designing a great landing page. Pretty obvious. If you want to learn how to do that stuff, again, Marketing Masterclass is where I teach you how to do that stuff. Or alternatively, you can just go and get some tutorials online and find out how to do it. It's entirely up to you. Run an Instagram contest. Ask followers to complete a survey or comment on a post with a chance to win a prize, and make sure it's a decent prize. Add a tag a friend element or partner with an influencer to broaden the scope of the contest and generate more leads as well. Feature popular products. Again, this comes down to the test and measure. Instagram recommends that you check the Insights tab to find the product posts that are getting the most likes and shares and that perform the best. Then post popular content regularly. In other words, it's about looking at what works and doing more of it, so you can keep your product fresh in their mind, build customer confidence, and create more opportunities for them to buy. So if you want to dig more into Instagram, if you think Instagram might be something for you, again, tons of tutorials online about how to do that. Twitter. Now, here's an interesting thing. A lot of people don't use Twitter anymore. Raise your hands if you're using Twitter for your business. Wow, again, really low numbers here, really low numbers. And that's really interesting because quite a few people earlier on said that they use LinkedIn. Well, this has actually got more users than LinkedIn. So we're not using Twitter for business? Okay, I don't quite get it. Twitter users are posting 1 billion tweets a week, guys. Okay, each Twitter user has on average 208 followers. Now, I'm going to give you some real quick stuff here. Okay, tools that you can use to really leverage Twitter for your business. There's loads of them. Twitter cards help you stand out from the crowd. Social Quant help you build followers really easily. Again, it's just a piece of software that helps you do that. Social Bro helps you engage with influencers. You've got tailored audiences so that you can target your own email list, upload your email list, and then tailor the ad to the audience. Make sure you're using the right hashtags because that's confusing. Use right tag for that. Research your competitors' audiences with TwitterMe. Monitor keyword mentions with Hootsuite and TweetDeck. Track and analyze the links that you share with UTM tracking. Create great headlines with EMV Headline Analyzer. EMV stands for Emotional Marketing Value, and you actually get a score for the emotional marketing value of your headline. And also use Twitter Analytics to test and measure. Now, either take a screenshot of that now or raise your hand if you would like us to send you these slides for today's presentation afterwards. Raise your hands if you'd like the slides, please. Okay, so I'll send you the slides out afterwards and you can pick up on these things yourself if you wish to. But I don't think you can argue with the numbers on Twitter. We've got Reddit. Now, Reddit is a discussion and web content rating site. Most users are in the US, and a lot of users you might classify as trolls. But trolls are people too, you know, and the numbers are pretty big behind this. It actually has 6.6 million UK users and has an advertising platform. Now, if many of your competitors aren't using this, or if you found that other social media have been too competitive for you, maybe Reddit offers you an opportunity. At least it's worth some more research, guys. So let's talk about LinkedIn. Stats again on LinkedIn, massive, absolutely massive. And 5.3 million new accounts every single month. That means that LinkedIn is still growing fast. There's over 30 million company pages. Raise your hand if you have your own company page. Just 4 people. Okay, look, you've all got companies. You've got to have your own company page. The average visit duration on LinkedIn is about 10 minutes. And all users, 57% are male, 43% female. Guiding principle on LinkedIn: visibility plus credibility equals opportunity. So always be thinking, what can you do to improve your visibility? Well, that's about getting more people to follow you. And it's about being more visible by posting more often. Credibility, that's about showing your expert status. Again, here's some top tips. We're going to get these on the slide, so I'm going to go through them really quickly. Personalize your connection requests. Make sure you're doing at least 10 connections per day. You're going to be more visible. Use Boolean search to get targeted. If you don't know what Boolean search is, Google it. It's really simple to use. Test and measure a variety of first and second connection request messages. You should get at least 50% of people connecting with you after your first message. If not, your message is too salesy or you're targeting the wrong people. 3 to 8% of people on the second message should agree to a next call to action. So those are your benchmarks. You can use LinkedIn really well to research and build your database. That's an obvious one. Make sure that you stand out. Actually, when you send messages, you can send a video message or a voice message rather than a text message. Did you know that? No? Well, do it, because it will make you stand out, but make sure it's specific and tailored to the individual you're sending it to. Make sure you're posting daily. I would say at least once a day, maybe multiple times, and make sure you're engaging with everyone that comments. Choose different themes to mix up. There's about 12 different themes. If you come to my LinkedIn session, we'll teach you what those themes are. Different styles, there's 4 different styles. If you come to my LinkedIn session, I'll teach you what they are. Make sure you're using hashtags to be found by a wider audience. These things are obvious. They're blinding flashes in the obvious, guys, but really, really they work. Always direct your content to exact target audience, but never ever sell. Golden rule of networking and LinkedIn is not to be salesy in your posts. You're allowed to be salesy if you're using the advertising platform, but don't be doing it as a post, because that's not what people are looking for. It's the jab, 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 right hook principle. Give, give, give before you have earned the right to ask for what you're looking for. Now, both LinkedIn and Facebook also create lookalike audiences for you. So when I told you before about my strategy for getting engagement and creating an audience to market to, well, you can build that audience out by asking Facebook to find you more customers like that. Isn't that amazing? And you can do exactly the same sort of thing on LinkedIn, because they have so many different parameters, over 150 parameters they look at, that actually gives them patterns as to who those people are. So then they can find more people like them for you. Great way of building your audience. Snapchat, my goodness me. I wonder how many people on here are using Snapchat as a way of marketing. Raise your hands if you're generating leads for your business on Snapchat. Nobody. Well, it's an absolute necessity if you're focusing on Generation Z as your target market, because 71% of Gen Z use Snapchat as part of their daily routines. Plus 51% of this group use Snapchat roughly 11 times a day. Now, while Snapchat is known for its popularity amongst teens, its market penetration is starting to hit young adults as well, and the older generation, just like all the other social medias have done in the past. The kids start using it, then mom and dad start using it, and now it's no longer cool. So they go on to the next one. And by the way, we'll come on to the next big trend for the youngsters in a moment. So Snapchat actually has an advertising platform on it. So it's worth researching if you are targeting avatars between 12 and 34. It has some fun advertising possibilities, such as sponsored lens. There's an example there of Taco Bell using sponsored lens to advertise their new Diablo sauce that goes on their tacos. What's next? Pinterest. Raise your hand if you're using Pinterest to generate business from your business. Yay, we've got one person on the line that uses Pinterest. Fantastic. It's a social network where people can find inspiration and ideas for their interests and hobbies, which is why I'm not surprised that maybe a chocolatier on the line is using it. Pins can also be used to link back to websites, which is why Pinterest is great for driving traffic and sales. And most importantly for businesses, pins help people find more info on products that they're actually looking for. Lots of people go on Pinterest to find products that they're looking for. So maybe you need to be on there. Of its global audience, 66% are female, aged between 25 and 54. So if you put earlier on that your avatar are females, then they're between 25 and 54, maybe it's a good one for you to be looking at. Biggest interest areas on Pinterest: fashion, food, cars, auto, interiors, and travel. So if you're in those kind of businesses as well, those are the major things that people are looking for on there. So there's a huge variety of touch points for those kind of users. When it comes to spending power, here's an interesting thing. A recent survey by Pinterest found that 93% of pinners use Pinterest to plan purchases, and 40% of pinners have a household income of more than £100,000. Again, when you understand these platforms, this is how you can find your avatars in their large numbers. Brilliant. What about Tumblr? Raise your hand if you're using Tumblr to generate leads. Again, tumbleweed. Well, Tumblr, what is it? It's a blog and a social network. So it's useful for both posting and sharing images, video, audio, or short pieces of writing. Okay, originally sort of blogs. If you use both Tumblr and Facebook for your business, you can also integrate Tumblr posts into your Facebook as a Facebook timeline as well. As it's also a content sharing community, it's a good idea to engage with your audience regularly. In other words, probably every day. Take a few minutes each day to like and reply to posts about your business. Post your own blog content or reblog others. You can curate content, but always make sure that you credit the source in the first place. Both of these will help keep your business in the top of people's minds. And as somebody quite rightly, I think it was Lucy, identified that the big trending one at the moment for the youngsters is this one, TikTok. What the hell is it? Well, it's a social media platform for creating, sharing, and discovering short music videos originally. Think karaoke for the digital age. Now, the majority of the users at the moment are aged between 16 and 24. Okay, at the moment, guys. Remember, the youngsters adopt it and then their parents take it over and then they've got to go and find a new one. That's what seems to happen all the way along. And then users, by the way, get older and older, don't they? Because if you look at Facebook now, you've got many grandmas and granddads using Facebook, whereas when it first started, again, it was something mainly for college students. Majority of the users then, between 16 and 24, but half of its global audience are under 34. Chinese accounted for 80% of the time on the platform last year, but it's the fastest growing platform at the moment, with users in the US in the last 18 months have grown by 5.5 times. So clearly there's some opportunities coming out of that as well. Okay, guys, what I want to do now, reflect on what we've talked about here today. I've done a flyby with blinding flashes of the obvious, but I want to know, in your chat box, what blinding flashes of the obvious have you had? And also, what's the number one thing you're going to do in your business based on the webinar that we've had here today? In your chat box, what have your BFOs been? No raising of hands at the moment, guys. Just put it in your chat box. What have been your BFOs? And what's the one thing you're going to do? We've got Jeanette, first one up, says research. Absolutely, research is key. Go away and do some research. Go away to do some learnings. A BFO, get someone else to do it for me. Fantastic. Pascal is going to go and do an avatar profile. Again, if you need some help with that, Pascal, I can point you in some directions where you can get a really, really good avatar profile done. I need to plan some time to get my head around all the options out there. Absolutely, you need to spend some time doing it, but spend some time researching. Make sure you decide who you want first before you decide where you're going to find them in large numbers. Thing to do, get someone else to do it for me, absolutely. Julia's going to open a Pinterest account, great. Learn how to use it as well. Learn so much potential, massive potential with all of this stuff, of course there is. Get active on LinkedIn, including your business page. Jim, I've done a video on my my YouTube channel, which is called the 7-Day Weekend, about things. It's about an hour, a bit more than an hour, about things that you could be doing on LinkedIn during lockdown. So if that's useful for you, then go ahead and use that. Rachel, get your avatar profile done. Fantastic. What else have we got on here? I need to learn some basic knowledge and then find someone who can do it for me. Jeanette, that's exactly the right thing to do. As a business owner, you don't need to know all this stuff in detail. You just need to know enough about it so that when you're getting someone to do it for you, you know that they know what they're talking about as well. I don't want you spending all your time becoming social media experts. It's just about knowing the headline stuff, really. I'm going to create some new lead generated videos. Fantastic, Lucy. Can't wait to see those. What else have we got? Inspiring. Okay, you're inspired. That's great. Inform the head of my strategy meeting today for reopen the gym. Brilliant. Good news. What else have we got on here? Do you have any concepts of people who know how to do this stuff really well? I do, Lucy. Yeah, if you want to, we'll have a chat about that after the session today, and I'll make sure that you get some details of people that know how to do this stuff.